All right, so today we're going to be diving right into how to manipulate the Wireshark user interface. So before we get into all manipulating columns and adding different displays and creating new colored rules, we should actually start with the fact that we can actually design and build our own profiles. So a profile is sort of a logical collection of all of the changes that you have made to your Wireshark. There's a couple ways to access this, and one of the easiest ways is actually in the bottom right hand of the screen. You can see that you've got a profile selected, and it might not be easy to see, but if you right click on it and go to Manage Profiles, you can actually see all the profiles that are available to you. And you could, at this point, go ahead and hit the plus button and make a new profile. And that would be fine. And you can see right away that the way that my screen looks, it actually has changed. And this is in fact the default Wireshark that you get when you start from scratch. And so I don't actually like the way this looks. I like some of the additional columns that I've added. So what I do is I go down to the bottom right again, right click, and switch to the profile that I want, which is in this case network analysis. And I like it because it's got specific columns that I've chosen. So in my case, I like source port and I like destination port to be easily visible. So that's one way. You can go on the bottom right hand of the screen and manage it there, but you can also go up to the top left here and select edit and go down to configuration profiles. And then we can do the exact same thing. So now if I wanted to get rid of that profile that I just made, I can select it and then hit the minus button, and bingo bango, it's gone. All right, so like I said before, I like to have the source port and the destination port visible in my list pane. So how I go about manipulating that is I go up to the columns, I go right click, and I choose column preferences. That brings up a screen right here where you can at this point choose the columns that you want visible. And if I wanted to make a new column, I could actually go ahead and do so and give it a name that makes sense. Let's go with number. And I'm going to duplicate the exact top one, but I could do anything. I could stay with number, or I could give it anything that's been listed in this drop down here. So I could choose whatever I want, and that would be the column that's available to me. So let's go absolute time. And I'll hit OK. Left click into the list pane, and now if we scroll all the way to the right, we should see the column that I just made and the time, which is the option that I chose. If we want to get rid of it, we can do the exact same process. Right click, column preferences, and I can go to the one that I just made, num, minus symbol, OK. And let's go take a look. And it is gone. All right, this next part is actually pretty fun because it's called the but ugly rule, and this is a common thing in Wireshark, and it's actually is the name for this activity. But as you can see on the screen, all of these different packets have coloration. You can actually set your own color to whatever you want it to be. Okay, and so I've actually created a capture here. It's got a fin, push, and urge set. And so what this is actually a scan, a Christmas scan, in fact. So if I click on one of these packets and I fly on down to the TCP protocol and I take a look at the flags that are set, I can see that the hex is X029. So let's go ahead and let's make a but ugly rule for the Xmas packet here. So how we do that is we go View, and we're going to go to Coloring Rules. And this brings up all the coloring rules that are currently available in my profile. Remember, I've set my profile as a network analysis. And so I'd like to add a new one. Let's go ahead and left click on the plus button here. And we've got our filter up here. Okay, perfect. At this point, we can give it a name. So I'm going to give it the name of Xmas. And the filter that I want to specifically look for, remember, is finding any packet that has the fin, push, and urge packet turned on. So how I do that is I go TCP dot flags equal 0x29, enter. And so right now the default color is blue, but I don't think that's ugly enough. So let's go and change that. The background, let's give it now some people might think, oh, this is actually nice, but I'm gonna give it something that jumps out. Maybe it's not butt ugly, but it's gonna jump out at me. So the background, I'll give it a pink background, and I want the letters to jump out as well. Let's see what that looks like. And it's red, so I mean that's a purpley pink, and we've got some red coloring. And now when I hit OK, let's see how my capture here changes. And you can see that it jumps out. You can clearly see that there is a fin, push, and urge set. This last piece is actually quite interesting, and when we look at our basic user interface, we got our list pane up here, we have our display, we have our bytes window here, and what we can do is actually manipulate the actual layout of this. Now, for me personally, I actually like having my list window at the top it's very long. I can see a lot of stuff, and I actually kind of like having this display window down the left and the bytes on the bottom right, but that might not be for everybody. So we can actually change the orientation of this. So go edit and preferences, and we're going to fly on over to layout. And as you can see on the screen, we can determine the configuration and the layout. So we're going to do is we're going to change it to something else. So I like this one here, but let's change it to look like this. Now, if you like this, that's great. And you can see that we've literally changed the orientation of the panes. Let's do one more. Let's try this one. Maybe somebody likes that one, but I don't. So, but it is an option. Preferences, layout, and we'll bring this back to the one that I like. However, let's take a look at one more piece of this, in that I can actually change some very interesting stuff. So let's look at pane 3, which we know is going to be our bytes window. So you can see the bytes window right there. And if you change it to packet diagram, look at the change that we have here. And so when you're just learning about TCP headers and IP headers and just networking headers in general, it actually kind of illustrates what we're dealing with right here. So if I click on the Ethernet destination, literally these bytes here pertain to this information here. If we go over to layer 3 in the IPv4 here, we have our basic header. And if I click on the source address here, it's going to show me that this is the source address. Super handy, and I think it's actually quite neat to look at the data in this way. I don't keep it like this. Personally, I actually do like to see the layout and have it be the way it was before. So packet bytes like this, because I can see the clear text really easy if there was any in there. As you get more accustomed to how this looks, it actually is faster to actually look at it like this. So for example, if we click on a fin push urge, I know because I've looked at Wireshark so many times that the X29, that hex, is actually this byte right here. Okay. When I click on it, it opens up the flags. So from practice, I know that this one right here pertains to the value of the TCP flags. So to each their own, but I mean, there you go. These are some ways that you can manipulate your Wireshark user interface, and it's actually quite fun. It's a tool. Make it work for you, right? So hey, if you enjoy this video, There's a couple other videos on the screen that I think you might enjoy. Go ahead, like and subscribe if you feel like it, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.